right, we are back with another Matic Mondays. And if this is your first time joining us, thank you for looking at us and checking us out. We talk about all remote work, digital nomad work, working from home, how to transfer your skill set and get that remote job. Or if you want to look into getting into IT, we talk about all of that under the sun. And if you are back joining us, we appreciate you. We love you. We appreciate all your contribution and views and likes and shares. And we have my co-host Tiffany, Sports and Heels. What's going on?
What's good? What's good? Hope you all are doing good. It's about to be holiday season. Well, this week, right? So I know we're talking about layoffs, so hopefully got a good severance package. Maybe take some time to spend some time with family and watch our show and talk about it and get some tips and tricks, maybe.
Yes, talking about layoffs. It's that time of year. It's a sad thing, but it happens because people are resetting for their fiscal first quarter fiscal part of the year.
Yeah.
So,
Those of us who work in tech, I think we're used to Q3 and Q4 kind of being like that. Oh, especially if you're a contractor, kind of being like that. Oh, let's see if I get that extension or if I make that cut.
oh yeah, we're
But
getting around.
generally between October and I'm gonna say the end of February is kind of like that time period where you just kind of know at any point you can get that axe.
Well, you're gonna get that axe before the new. More than 90% of the time, you can get that axe before November, because they like to go on their little vacations and take all of December off, so they want to have everything straightened out. But for the ones that do come on in January that may jump ship in the first month, they they got the backfill, so that kind of takes you into that February though. So
Yeah, yeah.
yeah,
Not on
but
this gravity though, not this scale. This is the first. I think this is the biggest scale we've seen in a long time.
oh yes, a lot of people that was getting greedy in the past year or two during the pandemic, especially in the tech field, and as well as in like the crypto space. Oh Lord, my crypto. Whew, I'm glad well, I did get hit really bad in with Celsius, but um,
What was that? What's that? NYX or something? RBX?
FTX
FTX.
was just recent, but Celsius was like the early part of this year.
Yeah, FTX was recently. Didn't we have an FTX person on our show a couple of months ago that was in Colombia? Or was that
Well,
before?
that was my guy Carlos Crypto King, which I said I need to check out his channel because he talks about all things crypto. And
Yeah, and remember Herschel. I think Herschel was
oh yes,
crypto
yes, yes.
as well.
That's who you're talking about,
Although
Herschel.
I know Herschel living his best life. I saw him I think he was in El Salvador. Before that, I think I can't remember. It might have been Ecuador, El Salvador,
Well, I know
one of
he
those
was in
tours.
Europe for a minute.
Yeah, he was in Europe. I saw him in what Paris at Disneyland Paris, I
Mm,
think.
yeah,
Um, well, yeah, we'll have to check up on those folks and see how they're handling this. That would be a great follow up later on.
right, right, definitely. Um, which, like I said, I was trying to get, what's the name on Jocelyn, Miss Jocelyn, but because she was impacted with Twitter with what how 10 uh, 5,000? How many people
I
was it?
I think well, I don't think we have the official numbers because there was kind of like two different things that happened with Twitter. Um, so there was an initial like 4,000. For those of you who don't know, which I don't know how you don't know because everybody is kind of talking about it. About 2 weeks ago, Elon Musk closed on his deal to buy Twitter. And his first day, he basically, or within the first week, basically laid off a big percentage of his workforce, and I think it was about 4,000 people. Um, After that layoff of 4,000 people, there was a demand that the next day, I think, a demand that those who were working remotely needed to come into the office by the next day. And I believe it was some kind of circumstance where he sent the email like 2:30 in the morning, the day of, and was expecting people to like come into the office. And if you couldn't make it, then you were just basically terminated. I think there's a lot of rumors from a lot of discourses on Reddit and rumors on Twitter, TikTok, just kind of going over the different things that have been said. But the latest that I heard on Twitter as of I think it was Friday night, I kind of stayed up till like 1 a.m. I think on Twitter because it was rumored that it was going to be like the last night that Twitter was going to be operable because the core engineers have all resigned. So part of that layoff was these unconventional circumstances were sent out that you were asked to comply with, including excruciatingly long work hours. Um, that's bad enough. But if that wasn't enough, it was just like really unusual requests and demands. And you were basically said, "Are you going to stay and work for Twitter 2.0?" I think it was the term that he had coined it, or were you going to leave? If you left, I think you got a 3-month severance. And if you stayed, you were agreeing to work under the circumstances that he. And I don't want to, I don't know the circumstances, but there were a few rumors of what those circumstances were. And a lot of people left. The last I heard, a Twitter employee said that they got an email that locked them out the building. Um, that was this past week. That no one could come to the office. I guess there was fears that those who left or resigned or who quit or were fired would somehow retaliate. So they locked the offices so that no one could return. And then the last I heard, it was like 200 and something remaining employees. I heard that there were employees that were brought over from Tesla to kind of backfill. Um, I've heard that they're running they're running Twitter in the dev environment. I mean, I've heard a whole bunch of like security breach is possible. Like I've heard a whole bunch of stuff. So we don't really know the number of people who were let go yet. Um, but initially it was 4,000.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, from Live Mint here, this was as of today. Elon Musk may fire more employees this week, report claims.
Wow.
Elon Musk is planning to fire Twitter employees as soon as Monday, this time targeting the sales and partnership side of the business after mass resignations among engineers 2 days ago, which you were just mentioning.
Yep.
Since buying Twitter last month, Elon Musk has made radical, chaotic changes at the social media company, including firing half the staff and imposing what he calls a hardcore work culture. He calls it a hard. This is some freaking.
Yeah. But
Uh,
Twitter is in a long line of places who have had significant layoffs in the last 60 days. Amazon laid off, I think, 10,000 people. We all know
yes,
that industry is e-commerce. We just mentioned, so Twitter had two sets of layoffs. It looks like it was close to 7,300 employees total. I think that were let go. There was 3,700 initially, and 4,400 contractual. I have some colleagues who are in here in the U.S., but their family is in India, and I've heard rumors that the entire Twitter operation in India has been shut down. There's not one India resource working there. Um,
Facebook is like that too.
yeah, so
And
Amazon, as I mentioned, 10,000. But other big names that had layoffs include Meta. Meta laid off, I think it's 11,000. 11,000 that were laid off. Yeah, 11,000.
Is it on this document? I mean, on this page?
Yes, it's on the page. It's on the list.
Go to the.
Companies are laying off between 20 between 10 and 30% of their workforce. Contractors and newbies are usually the first in line for those layoffs. Um, Amazon also has issued a hiring freeze. Um, I mean, we're talking about healthcare. We got a Rubius Therapeutics laid off 82% of their workforce. That's healthcare. Um, Open Door laid off 500 people. That's real estate. Maybe because they were buying up all the properties over the summer in cities like Atlanta and Dallas and Phoenix. Microsoft laid off 1,000 people in late October. So we got some Zillow 300 again, real estate. Um, some pretty big names have laid off significant number. HelloFresh with 600. Um, Peloton 500. I think we heard that in October. That was about 12% of their workforce. We've even had a pharmaceutical company, Novartis, lay off 400 people. So yeah, it's tech seems to be the one that everyone's talking about, but Amgen, which is a energy and utilities company, laid off 11,000 people. I'm sorry, 1,100. That's not 11,000. So there's quite a bit of people entering into um, the unemployment pool. A lot of competition is going to be out there. Um, and there are a couple of theories surrounding these layoffs. Where you think we having these layoffs?
Um, People started spending too much. It's a lot of companies on this
Hmm.
list. I thought it was like maybe 10 or 11.
No, no.
But this is for all year.
Major layoffs and hiring freezes. Yes, this
This is
article that we're looking at was published
June.
November 17th, which
Oh,
was just
oh, it's
3 days ago. So Friday.
yeah, it is it's in chronological order actually. These are the
Yes, Thursday.
November ones right here.
Yep. So quite a bit of places are laying off and have hiring freezes.
Yeah, I think a lot of them, uh, a lot of people got greedy, and then
When you say
inflation with
people, do you mean the
companies.
workforce or companies?
No, the companies,
Okay.
because it was bouncing back a little bit. I mean, because I look at the stock market a lot, so as the stock market goes, you kind of see how everything else goes. So it correlates a lot, really. Um, and so with this um anticipated recession, deep recession, supposed to be next year, I think a lot of companies are trying to just tighten up ship and embrace themselves for anything that's to come. Is my thought, pretty much. But
I I have a couple. I can't stick to just one theory. Um, I think greed is part of it. I think PPP loans were issued. I think there's a couple of different things that's happening. I think um, PPP loans were issued and employers took out loans to kind of recoup the costs from the pandemic that we're still in, by the way. We're still in the pandemic. It didn't go away. Um, and I think they got a lot of money and they had to hire people in order to save their butts from getting all these PPP loans. And I think now that those loans have been forgiven, basically, I think that they're like, okay, well, the less people we have, the more. we're able to give to our stakeholders. So we're going to go ahead and cut people for that. I think, in addition to that, I believe that the workers have gotten a little bit too much power according to corporations. I don't believe that workers have gotten a lot of power. Um, there's a lot of demand for better treatment and mainly for increased in wages to cover cost of living. So you've got Starbucks employees who are, forming unions right now. You've got Amazon employees who are having issues, and I think people are demanding to be paid livable wages. And so the wages have increased. Um, and I think that people who run corporations don't like that. And so I think they're flooding the market with available, they're trying to flip the market around because right now, well, before this, all summer we kind of talked about, as we're giving you guys advice about switching into these remote roles, we're basically telling you that you can get the kind of money that you really want to get. You can kind of live the lifestyle that you really want to live. Um, and on social media, people are kind of promoting that a lot and making jokes and talking about how they're working from home. And I think corporations are like, nah, we're not giving y'all no more money. As a matter of fact, we're gonna lay y'all butts off, and we're gonna reset this wages to make sure we can hire you back at the wages we want to pay you, doing the stuff that we want you to do. Um, and so this is how we're going to collectively achieve that, because these are some big names. You're talking about Amazon laying off 11,000 people. You know, what happened at Twitter, what happened at, Facebook, especially in the tech space, that's a lot of people that you're basically, and we're talking engineers who are in the tech field are usually kind of protected. They do lay off this time of year. Every company pretty much does, but to this extent, is very unusual to me. And so that's why I think it's kind of like a um, reset in the market, trying to pull the advantage back to those who employ versus those who are employed. Just my
Right.
theory. They
Okay.
mad. They mad because we live in our life.
I mean, yes, a lot of good reasons there. They definitely want to crack that whip on you, crack that whip on you. But you know, tech is actually tech sales. What else? More your back office type roles. But tech is actually a role that you can easily bounce back from, which is, one of the good things. Um, but I know you had some TikToks as well too. What were these TikToks dealing with here? Let's see.
So these TikToks, they talk about, their theories behind why we're entering into this season of these massive layoffs, like what's happening out there.
What
So
they
yeah,
giving
just
us
some just
point
some just some theories on what's going on.
of- let's see here. Share.
There's so many tech layoffs right now.
Oh, do you want the long answer or the short answer?
Whatever will make sense.
Okay. So, why are there layoffs? People are spending less for two reasons. One, they're not locked at home online shopping all day. And two, there is a recession. We're going to put a question mark beside that because we're not clear if it's a recession because no one's calling it that. But let's all just agree that the market is acting super weird. Okay, what does this mean? If companies are making less money, then they're going to spend less money advertising. What does that mean for tech, though? Tech companies make their money from ads. And when they're not making their money from ads, some of them just make money through online commerce. Think like Shopify and Stripe. They don't sell you anything, but when you're buying online, they're making money. Why the layoffs, though? Well, companies grew really fast during COVID. Then they had to pay all their employees expensive salaries. How do you reduce costs? Stop paying salaries. Why right now, though? November is a fantastic time to lay people off because then their salaries are not on your books come next year, Q1.
Mhm.
Second thing is if you wait any longer, it will be too close to Christmas and it's too much of a dick move to do it then. So you do it now and you avoid the time. All right, any other questions?
Yeah, what was the short answer?
Short answer, capitalism.
I gotta ask, why are there so many tech layoffs right now?
Oh, do you want the long answer or the short answer?
Whatever will make sense.
Yep, he said a lot of what I just said.
What did I
Yeah.
say? They hire too many people, PPP loans. It was like a perfect storm. And this recession that they refuse to talk about, which is company driven for more profit.
Well, I don't really think more of the PPP loans because they can write that off or whatever. But it's more of the greed. There was more of the I'm talking about the corporate crypto. I'm sorry, the crypto thing where people was. It's almost like the 2008 the mortgage scandal. I don't know if you remember that or whatever, but people was, especially here in Atlanta, boy, people was making money out the money. It was selling all those bogus mortgage loans to overseas, and it actually bankrupt a lot of countries overseas, Greece, I think, or something like that. And it's almost the same thing. Like people got greedy. People was getting greedy.
Yeah.
And and especially in this tech, a lot of the tech companies was carrying the stock market. Like 80% of the stock market was tech companies that was carrying it. So people was at home, people was doing them. Another thing too is them ads. The fact that a lot of the ads are being scrutinized, and the data behind those ads are being scrutinized here in the States is starting to come back to bite a lot of these companies in the butt, like for his Facebook, because Facebook and Google, they really sell a lot of your data, and that's how they make billions and billions of dollars on the money.
And I want to point out what happened, and I don't know if a lot of people know what happened specifically with Meta, on what happened with why ads dropped so significantly. And I want to thank Team iPhone. Team iPhone, because Apple came out with an update that took away. This is because Apple and Meta are competing. Okay, Meta has the metaverse, right? Meta decided we're gonna create this. We're gonna invest all of our money into virtual reality, and we're gonna change our name to Meta. Like we're gonna create a metaverse and new way of advertising. Excuse me, new way of advertising. New way of social media. It's just a new way of life is Meta. They blew everyone else out the water when it came to VR, allegedly. Apple can't compete with that, but Apple can control what they can control, which is I'm going to create a privacy setting that's in an update on your phones so that you can opt out of allowing Meta to have access to your information. So they can't drop ads to you like they were because you opted out via your iPhone. So when that happened, Meta's ability to market themselves in the data harvesting and selling and ads dropped because if I have an iPhone, I can opt out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that definitely can play a part. And a lot of other countries are actually, putting a lot of pressure on Facebook because, like in Europe, they have this thing called GDPR, which is called the European Data Act. And but the only thing, like the biggest markets to make money off of is the U.S. and the European markets. So with that, that's like half of their ad revenue that's being scrutinized, and that puts a lot of pressure on the U.S. market,
Yeah.
or the U.S. Companies to comply. Not really comply. Actually, they do have to comply in some aspects here in the States. If they have, like, they can't collect data on people who are in the States and working here, but they live in the UK or whatever, or the EU, and that is starting to actually cause a lot of issues with Facebook, and they can't seem to like dodge it for too long, and I think it's starting to come up and bite them in the butt. But because I used to do a project at Verizon on this whole aspect thing, that's what I kind of
Cool.
Yeah.
Okay, let's go to the video.
Yeah. I'm trying to bring that up now about the Great Reset.
So this is what I was talking about earlier. Um,
Salary.
people asking for more money, and I think that has something to do with it.
Happening in the tech world with all the layoffs. I think that, last year and the year before, where it was very much all about like the candidate and employees were taking their power back. And even people in senior leadership were like, yeah, people should have more of a say so. You know who doesn't want people to have more of a say so of their compensation? People who are making money on the difference of what they're paying you and the difference of what they're making, right? Like, of course, they don't want you to make more money because that means less money for them. And so I feel like I do think as a recruiter in the tech space for a long time, I mean, I started recruiting 10 years ago where a really high level salary was $90K for a software engineer with 10 years of experience. And here we go 10 years later, and someone with 10 years of experience is making $1 million. Like, that is a crazy amount of money. And they're paying a lot of them this money. And I think this is kind of like a reset for tech companies to start paying more realistic salaries, because you have people who are graduating from college and expecting to make $200,000, $300,000 for a software engineering job. The reason why they expected that is because that's what they were getting paid. And so I feel like with all these layoffs, it's almost like a reset. Okay, the people who are getting paid the most, they gotta go. The people who have really great experience, they can stay, but the salaries are going to be coming down. And I think we're going to see that all over the tech industry. And I also think that's going to bleed into other industries, because I feel like a lot of industries were raising their salaries to be more competitive. And so I think it's just evening out. I think it's awful and I hate that. But I do think it's also unrealistic that software engineers are getting paid $300,000, $500,000 a year and working 20 hours a week. That didn't feel sustainable. So I feel like this is the real Great Reset. So then you have.
Okay.
Did you say $1 million?
Yeah. So let me say this. I can recognize.
Hold up.
I know. Wait, I know.
Cap right there now.
That's why I said. So listen, I can recognize that people in tech have absolutely been asking for more money. Okay, because I have been asking for more money when I'm interviewing. There's certain amounts, and it's not because I want $1 million. It's because the expectation is now that I'm going to do more than one role. There's not a singular interview that I've been on in the last 30 days where the expectation was not that I'm going to be wearing multiple hats. I'm wearing project manager hat, I'm wearing project coordinator hat, and I'm wearing a scrum master hat. Sometimes I'm a business analyst hat, and sometimes product owner hat is what is expected. So of course I'm going to ask for a little bit more in salary, but I'm only asking to be fairly compensated. If you are a software engineer and you've been getting $1 million
Cap.
for 20 hours work, if you've been getting $1 million as a software engineer, I want to know what company you work for. I just want to know. I'm not saying I'm going to go try to work there. I just want to know what company was you working for that you was getting $1 million as a software engineer.
That's why I stay out that TikTok, man. People be out here just throwing.
I know a lot of software engineers, and I don't know damn one that's making anywhere near $1 million. Not even $500,000. And I know software engineers who work for Twitter or
you working for the bigger people. You can make like 300. The bigger company.
We talking about $1 million. $1 million. $1 million is a long way from 300K. And wait, are you making 300K like just your package, like stocks, options, and blah blah blah? You're not making $1 million salary. I don't give a damn what you say. It's not another no software engineer. You're not. You're not.
He made $1 million.
You're not.
But not with 10 years experience. He made $1 million. But yeah, it's. I mean, that's a great thought you just threw out with the multiple roles and stuff. That's why I was telling you yesterday or last night or whatever. But the next show I think we're gonna have was about negotiations and just knowing your worth and all that stuff, because that's a whole show in itself. Because a lot of people, and myself, and you've contested to this too, that left money on the table
Oh
with
yeah.
negotiating with contracts or any job. You just sometimes I don't want to piss them off, and they don't want to hire me or whatever. Because I like, man, shoot. I mean, the more the more the more you can ask, for the amount of money you want. So you just got to know. You just got to
Yeah.
know what you.
And you gotta know, you gotta know what your bottom line is. And I don't mean as far as money, I mean as far as where you willing to compromise yourself. Like where you willing to compromise. What are you gaining as far as compromising? Like for me, a compromise with a company means I'm getting something that I want and they're getting something that they want. So if I'm compromising, I got to make sure I'm at least getting the bottom things that I want before I'm willing to compromise. But part of that is being transparent about what your expectations are as far as what you want. And that's going beyond, and we'll have a whole conversation about, we're going to have a whole show about compensation, guys, but it means going beyond what you want as far as salary. You got to go beyond that. Because if that's the only thing you're predicating your decision on, then you're going to be compromising. we talking about just now a great reset where people are going to start paying less for roles. Now, again, less than $1 million for a software engineer. But if you are a new graduate and you're expecting to make 300K as a package, and they're not going to do that, you're going to be very disappointed at the what's coming at you as far as your opportunities, because your expectations are higher than what the market is. But you know, be willing to know where you're willing to compromise. Compromise does not mean you lose your integrity, or you compromise your integrity for what you really need and want to be happy. Because again, this is a segment of your life. Work is a segment of your life. We preach that here on the show. It's not your entire life. So get what you want from a work perspective for that segment of your life. What's this next one?
My worry about these layoffs is for people that are new to tech. What will happen is that a lot of people whose interests and skills align with tech will just give up too soon. They'll settle for something that takes them off their path, and I know this because that's what I did when I was younger. I don't regret doing other jobs. That's part of life. I do regret thinking that it was impossible. And thinking like that, I didn't send in enough applications, and I didn't get creative with trying to find maybe smaller companies that were hiring. Be open to other jobs, other companies, but still choose something that aligns with your end goal. My worry about these layoffs is for people that are new to tech. What
And
will
I
happen
think
is that
I think that's great advice. Me and you have talked about the number of people who kind of jumped into the tech bandwagon especially the last 2 years. And the number of social media gurus have really been advertising what kind of money you can make in tech and what kind of opportunity you can make in tech. We've talked about what kind of opportunities come from you from a remote standpoint in tech. And those who are just now transitioning, we've talked about using your transferable skills and transitioning. Times like this will scare the hell out of you, right? You'll be afraid to apply, or you're like, oh shit, I don't want to work for Amazon, or I don't want to work for Meta because blah 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 blase. They laid off 11,000 people. Like it is super scary, and I absolutely understand why a person say, well, I'm just gonna go back to what I know, because at least they not doing no 10-30% layoffs. But that's why we preach here to get those certifications and get those skills so that you remain marketable even in times like these.
Yeah.
Because that's what's going to save you in times like this. Will you still possibly get laid off? Yes. Will you possibly still, if they have a hiring freeze, not get a role? Possibly. But having those transferable skills and, like he said, being creative, if this is something that you really want to pursue in this field or any field, now's the time to start adding some certifications. I'm already looking at adding an additional certification at this time of year for me. I got one last year, this time of year, just so you can keep yourself competitive and marketable. So when the time comes, you are ready to be, what is needed in the workforce.
Yeah. Definitely home in on those certifications. Um, you know, take a little break, take a little breather, and then a week or two, and then jump back onto it. And well, I'm telling you, this contract life it prepares you for times like this.
Yeah.
And I know, like, well, the big layoff when COVID came, that's when I got my Scrum Master certification, and something else too. I got, but yeah, that's your perfect time because it's hard sometimes with working and trying to get certifications and
Yeah.
studying for other stuff, and it's really hard. So now you won't have nothing going on. Hey, jump into it. Almost make it feel like it's your job. Like
Yeah.
wake up at 9, jumping on the computer, and so then when you do get back into the work mode at a company, it won't feel so droggy and stuff like, oh, I got to wake up at because you could easily slip into you don't wake up till like noon and
Oh yeah.
go to the
Hanging
gym
out till
and
midnight,
yeah,
on a Monday,
yeah,
watching Monday Night Football,
yeah.
it's easy.
You
It's
can easily
easy.
get into that rut and get a job. Then you got to get back. So you already been in work mode because you just been working. Working on yourself, working on your craft.
Yeah,
Um,
and I'll give you guys a little background. Both of us have had opportunities where we were laid off and we got certifications. So I'll give you a little timeline of what I did because I was laid off and I had time. I'll tell you what I did. Laid off in 2019, right? Uh, October 2019. Had my pity party until January. I'm being real. Updated my resume, started interviewing in January. Wasn't really having much success in 2020 because we were in the throngs of COVID, right? So I'm still laid off. I didn't have my college degree. I went back to college and got my degree. I graduated because I started college and didn't finish. I bust my butt during COVID during the summer sessions and during the fall sessions. Picked up an internship that gave me additional credits that had me graduate early. So I would have graduated May of 2021. But because I picked up a internship that gave me credits and bust my butt during my time off, and it was when I say bust my butt, I don't mean I had to take that I was working and taking classes. I took 18 hours of classes to finish so I could finish up course load during the summer and the fall, and I graduated in December of 2020. Stated my insurance internship offered me the role going forward, so I stayed on it going forward, and the next October, no, the next November, so 2021, I got another certification in November, October, November-ish timeframe of 2021. And now here we are, 2022, November timeframe-ish, and I'm working on getting another certification in a different area of tech. So, you know, use these times, this downtime to get creative. Because even in markets like this, you can transition to a different field by looking to see what are marketable skills, what certifications align with marketable. Go on LinkedIn, make some connections and look at what certifications that they have that they're employed with. Maybe the company you're interested in. Look and see what kind of certifications their workforce has, and maybe pursue those. Go to Udemy. Um, there's a ton of other things we can offer you, but yeah, it's just now is the time to figure out what it is that you want for the next stage in your career and what your bottom lines are, what your must-haves are, and then be creative as far as updating your resume, putting it out there, networking. Social media is a great source. And come into our show, obviously, because we drop job opportunities all the time. So although it's the end of the year and we're not dropping today, but keep an eye out. We drop jobs all the time.
all the time, all the time. Okay, so we have another one here.
Yep. This is talking about the hiring freeze.
Yes.
That the job market is bad out there right now.
So let's talk about why this is happening and why so many companies are posting these phantom job descriptions that don't actually lead anywhere. Really, the easiest way to understand it is that these companies just look better if there are open job applications and they're not admitting to a hiring freeze. I've even seen recently there have been some companies that will announce that they're doing a layoff, and then if you go to their LinkedIn or Indeed profile, they still have dozens, if not hundreds, of open job applications that are still accepting applicants. So before you go and apply to any of these jobs, especially if you are interested in the tech space, I recommend going to this website here. It's called layoffs.fyi, and they cover the smallest to the largest layoffs that you can think of. They'll tell you how many people were laid off, what percentage of that workforce they were, and it can give you a better idea on if the job posting that you're seeing is one that is actually going to lead anywhere or if it's just there for show.
If y'all don't believe that the job market is bad out there,
That's an interesting perspective.
Yeah, so let's go to layoffs.fyi.
Was that the link that we just had, the first link?
No, that was not. This is a totally different thing. And dude, they've got layoffs as late as yesterday. Zomato. Do you remember Zomato? Carvana laid off 1,500 people Friday. It's got a running count of employees.
Okay, I got it now. Let me see.
Layoff charts. I mean, this site has a ton of data. Look at the chart. Please show the chart.
Well, I'm trying to bring it up now. Present. Okay.
Holy crap, man. Look at November. Over 40,000 people were laid off in November. 40,000 people. That is triple the amount in October. Quadruple. Dude. Look at I mean, travel, booking.com laid off. Oh, that's non-US. That's Amsterdam.
Well, I know those air flight prices need to come down. And
you ain't lying.
If it's that bad out here, it's that bad. Y'all
ain't nobody going nowhere in January.
Huh?
Ain't nobody going nowhere in January.
That's usually when it's the cheapest time to fly after the holidays, but they need to get these prices down.
Yeah,
I need them pandemic prices again.
Yeah, I have a trip coming up next week, and I have to drive an hour and a half away to get the price that was going to be, that was going to be priced, and it was going to be comparable.
Okay. Yeah. So closing. We can talk about. I mean, we kind of talked about a lot of the things that should be doing. That lady, actually, that last one. I think sometimes layoffs it's kind of subjective a little bit, especially like in IT, because I mean, there's tons of VA roles like myself, IT role. Like, I mean, once you get more into that data, you got to make yourself more marketable. And that, like, we talk about this, Black in tech and the 6-figure mark, and a lot of those people that that champion this and talk about this a lot. They're not really heavy coding roles or project management data roles. You got to get into that data. You can't be like these customer success manager or you have to be producing value. You have to be a valuable asset. Like these engineers and these developers, they have no problem finding a job. But can everybody code? No. But can you kind of like understand maybe like some SQL or
Yeah.
um,
Build data sets and data tables and all that.
yeah, you're really good in Excel. You can do VBAs. You know how to do VLOOKUPs and pivot tables. You got to keep working on your craft. You can't once you get into I'm black in tech. I'm black in tech. That's not the bar. The bar is way up here because you're gonna be the one of the first ones they gonna let go, especially as a black person.
Yeah.
So, and you're starting to see a lot of these people like the Afro Tech conference that was last week.
Yeah.
A lot of them was, they ain't really hiring out there. They just, and I'm like, man, that's cute.
Which
That Afro Tech was cute. It was cute to me, but one of my friends did say they had some breakout sessions. They had like something else because I've gone to these conferences like more for like a platform. I've been to Amazon, I've been to Salesforce, where you go in there and they have breakouts where they're trying to give you coupon codes for certifications. If you have any questions about certification, the paths, they have all of that in these breakout rooms. It ain't no we listening to such and such perform. Like it ain't none of that. Entertainment. There is no entertainment there. It's just nothing but booths, and it's a bunch of data. It's a bunch of other stuff. And they may have a nice little happy hour where you're gonna have open ball on your ass.
Well, I mean, to Afrotech's defense, they don't market it as a conference where you're like they don't market it like other tech conferences. Because I've been to one of the largest tech conferences for women. Um, it's called the Grace Hopper, and they do provide entertainment. They do Afrotech guys. They it's known for you know networking with other Black and tech
Man, I don't want
professionals.
to be entertained. I can go to the
You gonna
club
make me
if I want to be entertained. I need to get this career together. That's what I come here for. I don't come here for you to shoot and jive in front of me. Tell me how I can get these certs. Tell me how I can get this money.
But I mean, I think that comes with the networking, right? I mean, the to me, the benefit is you get to get firsthand accounts for people who look like us, just like me and you. I mean, we're giving firsthand accounts of kind of some ideas on how to navigate your career, what you can do in order to navigate into a remote space. And I think Afrotech does a fantastic job of offering different levels of people in tech, and a lot of those people are sponsored by their company. So, I know my sister-in-law went, and I'm sorry, my god sister went, and I know that her company sponsored her and others to attend. Yeah, there's a lot of entertainment because Black folks do things differently. Let's just be honest. We're not just there to you know move up our career. We're also there to to navigate different spaces and be in a safe space to celebrate the fact that we are Black in tech. So I think I think you really have to go in order to get an understanding of what they actually offer. I do notice different than what I went to in Grace Hopper. Grace Hopper does provide entertainment, but it is career driven, which means everything at that conference, every breakout session is geared towards navigating some aspect of your career as a woman in tech. Rather it is how to negotiate your salary, how to negotiate your raise. I learned some of those things that I learned in those sessions. I use still into my career today. I mean, that conference was when I heard that women don't apply to jobs like men do. Like men look on the job description and be like, "Yep, I can do just one thing. I'm gonna apply for it." and women are like, man, I can't do everything, I'm not going to apply for it. So I think you have to really attend in order to kind of get that determination. I would absolutely use it as a networking opportunity because I think connecting with people who have similar experiences with me would be valuable in helping me, especially those who are trying to get where those who are there where I'm already trying to get to, like those who are already there. So I do find I did find what was interesting, that a lot of the companies who did have layoffs, like Meta and Twitter, um, they budgeted to attend Afrotech and they provided a lot of entertainment, but people were asking them, well, where are y'all hiring? Because y'all just laid off 11,000 people. So I haven't heard much feedback yet on, if what these companies were responding with, but that's the part that I think I'd be most interested in. This is an unusual year, I think, though, because of the number of layoffs.
Right. But I'm thinking in some aspect they probably are hiring, like I said, engineering, those data roles. Those roles are indispensable. Like they just can't get rid of them because they need them. They need them in the company. They're so important. Other than the more non-technical roles, where it's a safe place for us.
Yeah.
It's a safe place. And I mean, you can't be blessed being safe, man. You got to push yourself out there. You got to, keep pushing yourself in order to want to be better. Because in tech, you're only as good as your last, 6 months or the last program you just learned. I just learned Azure. When the last
DevOps.
Azure with both of them, Azure DevOps and the database. Yeah, I got certified in fundamentals not too long ago. But that's the next thing I'm looking at is I think maybe AWS, which I know a little bit of that, but I was looking at something where it was talking about AWS. Like you really need to know all these cloud environments. You just can't really just know one. But so let's get back into the grind, get back into the lab, and you have to be a student, have a willingness to learn, an eagerness to learn in IT because it's forever something. Just prepared to not have a life and just learn and be in your book.
I'm not listening to him talking about prepared to not have a life. Listen, you can have a life and you can learn and you can get these roles. You just have to find what works for you. If that means you take an hour on a Saturday morning and get the certification, take the study take 1 week to take the class, the courses on Udemy and take it, 2 hours on a Saturday morning and maybe an hour on Sunday. And then the following week you test and pass the certification. Like,
man, that's for the people who ain't got no family or nothing like that. People who got kids and husband or a wife and stuff. Man,
you gotta, this is the world we live in. I don't agree with it, but you can still have your life. You just gotta figure out how.
Yeah, you're gonna have a life. It's gonna be studying. That's gonna be your life. But yeah. So what else you got? Before we part out of here, we got about 6 more minutes here. Next show, like I said, we're gonna have my friend Erica, who I met last night on a controversial post. But
Adrian be arguing with people on the internet, y'all.
That should be pretty good. Man, I just try to help. Like you said in this Afrotech, you networking. Like I want to be able to give back because a nice lady named Yolanda gave back to me one time. A lot of people have given back to me in some shape or form with just pushing me in the right direction or showing me this or and so I try to help people where I can instead of saying go to the link in my bio and go to my website and get such and such.
Yeah, yeah. We're not selling no services, y'all. I'm just everything that we offer is we did our own research, whether it's social media, Google, whatever, reading articles. We send each other stuff. Hey, let's talk about this on the show. You know, but we're not offering no classes. No, we're not trying to make no money off of you. We really just want you to be able to curate the life that you want for yourself. We believe that remote working is a great opportunity to do that. We touch on everything from digital nomads to working in tech, as we mentioned earlier. But you know, in times like these, when there's a lot of layoffs, there's a lot of questions, there's a lot of uncertainty about the job market. I caution you to do your investigative work on hiring or buying services from some of these people who are selling them on social media. A lot of these people are scamming you. They've been in tech or they've been in insurance or they've been in such and such field, crypto for 6 months, and now all of a sudden they're an expert on how to get a role, and they're telling you, oh, you can land a six-figure job in this field, and these are the roles you need to do to get six figures. No certification required. Like, but they're not telling you need 10 years experience. You need to have run, you need to have, you know, managed teams. You need to have managed projects. You need to have, reported to stakeholders. They don't tell you none of that and give you these false sense of security. And then you update your resume and you like applying to 800 tech jobs or whatever field, and you're like, I'm not getting hired. And they're like, well, you need to buy my course.
Mm-hmm.
Just stop and do your research. Go on LinkedIn and see where these people have worked at. Look how their career has blossomed or with their career path. Talk to recruiters. If you got friends who work in recruiting, call them, like, hey man, can you just tell me what's going on in the market right now in this field? I'm thinking about switching there. What you got any advice for me? Like, don't believe everything you see on social media. I don't know why we have to keep telling y'all that. Y'all grown. It's people trying to hustle out here. They're trying to get their money. They're trying to get their bag. Do your research. You ain't got to pay. And YouTube is free. If somebody has a YouTube class, go on YouTube and look up what steps I need to take to get into project management. What certifications do I need in project management certifications? Product owner certifications. What is a product owner?
Mm-hmm.
What kind of experience do I need to be a scrum master? Yeah. What is a business analyst? Like, really look into what these people are offering you and saying, can I go on YouTube or Udemy or somewhere else and get this information other than paying this person $29.99 for their e-booklet?
All of it.
Come on, y'all.
I used all of that. Udemy, YouTube. I paid for one class that was actually out of India.
Oh,
all of it's there.
And I have a tip for y'all. Your local library offers Udemy for free. Yeah, you gotta go to the library. Get you a library card. Go online, get you a library card, call your local library and ask them, do they offer Udemy courses at your local library? It might be at the main branch.
Okay.
When this time of year, everybody having Black Friday sales. Go on these certification sites and see if somebody's having a Black Friday sale for Scrum Master certification or Agile certification, because you don't have to get a certification on a position. You can get certification in a methodology of delivery.
Yeah, Udemy actually has some. I just bought one that was last week, like $12. Especially around Black Friday, you can catch a lot of them around $10, $11, $12 versus, 80, 100 for, and then these be extensive, courses on these Udemy. They don't be like a little ebooklet or whatever.
Yeah, and get you some fundamental understanding and then gradually go from there. Stop paying these people for ebooks. I'm not mad at nobody getting a hustle on, because there are people who probably are offering good information in their ebooks. But I'm telling you to do your research. There's other ways to do it. Don't believe the hype. That's all I'm saying. Get your money. you people offering ebooks, get your money, do what you gotta do. I'm gonna warn them about the scams though. So if you out here scamming, I'm warning them about you.
Another
If you
one
legit,
too
you
is,
ain't got no problems. But if
another
you
one
scamming,
too.
I'm telling.
Another one too is you like if you want to be in security or whatever. Well, let's say you want to be in project management. There are a lot of meetups and project management groups. Get into those groups. I did that when I was trying to get into Salesforce or just learn Salesforce.
Yep.
They have a Salesforce meetup group here. I did that for Tableau as well too. And you can
Black
just
Women
get
in
with,
Project Management has an Instagram page. They offer a lot of information. They're also on LinkedIn. They're also on Twitter, I believe. They have conferences. They have a lot of women who work in project management who are offering advice. You just got to network.
yes. So we are at the hour. Another great show.
Yeah.
My wonderful co-hosts and all the chat people there chatting away. As you know, we are probably not throwing your chats up there because this is a recorded show, but we are here with you
Yes.
right
Thank you for
now.
coming. Thank you for supporting the show.
Thank you again. And other than that, we're going to get to some football because I got some fantasy football players playing right now that I need some points on. So come on, Mahomes. I need you to set some records tonight or something. Bring me back.
No.
But okay. But man, I appreciate everybody coming in, sharing some time with me and Tiffany, taking time out of your schedule because you could have been somewhere else, but you're here with us. And until the next show, we are gone. See ya.
Happy Thanksgiving, everybody. Have a good night.
Yes, happy holidays, everyone. Take it easy. Bye.
Bye.